was a woman called Dorcas, or Tabitha. Now Dorcas was a woman who did lots of good things and good works for the people of Joppa where she lived. She made clothes and other sorts of robes for widows and the poor. Where we read about her in Acts chapter 9, she became ill and she died. And the disciples who lived there heard that Peter was in the nearby town of Lydda, and they called for him to come over. So he came over. Not really sure what the disciples were hoping he was going to do, but he heard their story. He heard how good Dorcas was and how she helped the poor. So he came and he sent everybody who was mourning her out of the room. He prayed. He told her to open her eyes, and she did and sat up. Peter then called in the rest of the disciples and said, "Come and see this woman, she's alive." Now, why is that important for our Lent reflections? I want to suggest that it was because although Dorcas came back to life, it wasn't necessarily that. It was because she had a ministry of helping the poor, the widows, the orphans, those who we are commanded to love and care for. There's some Bible passages that tell us about how important that is. Psalm 41 verse 9 says, "Happy or blessed are those who consider the poor. The Lord delivers them in the day of trouble." Galatians chapter 2 verse 10 says we are to remember the poor, and James 1:27 says that religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their afflictions. Jesus also said that the Spirit of the Lord had come upon him and had anointed him to bring good news for the poor, to release captives and recovery of sight to the blind, and to let the oppressed go free. This Lent, this week in Lent, as we consider how we can care for the poor, have compassion for those who are struggling, would you join with me in trying to work out what that means for us in March 2020, living in Wigan or even further afield? How can we help those who are less off than us, who have less love perhaps because all their family and their friends have moved away or they've died? How can we care for those who are struggling with this COVID-19 stuff? Those whose children are going to be off school and yet their parents need to continue to work. How can we as church care for those, to show compassion and to be church in a radical way? Would you help me in trying to work out what that will be?